Hey guys! Before we start coding, we will be needing to download the Python package as well as an editing software that will allow us to run our programs better and trace errors. So, if you head on over to python.org, you will be able to download the Python package. You just need to go under the tab that says Downloads, choose your operating system, so mine is Mac OS X, and click Python 3.8.3, and it will get downloaded, and it will be a package like this. So if you open the package, the installer will open and you just have to follow the steps to install Python. Now, since I have already installed it, I will not be installing it again. So after you have installed Python, you will need to be downloading an editor, and the editor that I recommend is Visual Studio Code. So if you head on over to code.visualstudio.com, you will be able to once again download the editor. So you can go to the download button and choose your operating system. So once again, mine is a Mac, so I would download this. But if you're using a Windows, you would want to download the Windows version. And after you have downloaded Visual Studio Code, you will also need to install it on your Mac, and the steps will be there on the package. So once you have downloaded Visual Studio Code, go ahead and open it up. So one last thing that we need to do before we start coding is we need to enable the extension for Python. So we need to go to this extensions tab right here, and then we need to search for Python. Now you want to download this first one that says Python and it has the star next to it. And it's just plain Python. It's not Python for VS Code or anything. It's just plain Python. Its developer is Microsoft and its rating is pretty high, so we're going to enable this one. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. And there you go. That's how you download or plug in an extension. And that's pretty much it. Now we're ready to start coding. So you want to create a new file by clicking New File. And before we start coding anything, we need to save this file with the .py extension. So if you click Command S, we want to save it in desktop, and I'm going to call it hello, and then .py. The .py extension tells the computer that this file is a Python file. Just how you may have a doc file with the .doc extension or a presentation file with the .ppt extension, .py tells the computer that this is a Python file and it must read the file as if it were reading the language Python. If you fail to provide a .py extension, then your computer will not know that your file is a Python file, and in the end, your code may not execute. So I'm going to go ahead and save this on my desktop and click Save. So now anything I type will be color-coded and will be understood to be written in Python. So I'm just going to go ahead and close this. And now we're going to write the most basic program that there is in Python, which is the Hello World program. So if I type the statement, print hello world, and then I run it, in the output, it will say hello world with an exclamation mark. So how does this work? What is the print function? So the print function that is highlighted in yellow tells the computer to print something in the output. Whatever is placed inside the brackets will be printed. And some important syntax to remember when using the print function is to always use a small p. So if you use a big P, as you can see, the editor will not recognize this as a print function. And you can tell because it's not highlighted in yellow. So this is wrong. Similarly, you cannot have a space after the print. This will give you an error when you run the code. And lastly, if you want to literally print what you are writing, you have to place it between double quotes. We will delve into this data type later, but this is a type string. So whenever we're dealing with strings, we put them in double quotes or single quotes. And that is how we will run this program. So if we go ahead and we click this play button, the terminal opens up and there you go. Hello world. So, what is terminal? When computers were first introduced, they were a lot less interactive. The user had to type in commands in command line language for the computer to do something. This is what olden day terminals look like. Now, in modern day computers, users are not required to use this command line language. However, all computers come with a terminal emulator, which is a software version of the olden day hardware terminal. It carries out the same functions and needs the user to talk in command line language. So why bother using terminal and command line language? Well, because the user is telling the computer exactly what to do instead of clicking buttons which trigger different processes, it is much faster, and programmers tend to use terminal. So, we can open up a new terminal. So if I go ahead and I close this one, I can open up a new terminal by going to Terminal, clicking on New Terminal, and there you go. However, I am right now not placed in the desktop folder. My pointer is not there in the desktop folder, and to change the directory, what I can do is type cd, which means change directory, and type desktop. And when I do that, now I am in the desktop folder as it says desktop. But to further prove it, I can list the items that should be there in my desktop folder. So if I type ls, which means list, it lists out all the items that are there in my desktop folder. And as you can see, these are the items that are there in my desktop folder. So, how do you run a Python file using command line language? To run a Python file using command line language, we have to always start with the word Python, and then a space, and then the name of the file. So in this case, it would be hello.py. So the Python in the front tells the terminal or the computer that this is a Python file and you need to read it like a Python file. And the hello.py tells the computer which file to read. And we click enter, and there you go, hello world. So that is it for this lesson. Please do feel free to play around with the print function and explore a bit. And it's okay to come across errors because that is how you will learn.